Delta Chi is an international Greek-letter college social fraternity formed on October 13, 1890, at Cornell University, initially as a professional fraternity for law students. On April 30, 1922, Delta Chi became a general membership social fraternity, eliminating the requirement for men to be studying law, and opening membership to all areas of study. Delta Chi became one of the first international fraternities to abolish Hell Week, when it did so on April 22, 1929. Delta Chi is a charter member of the North American Interfraternity Conference. The fraternity is headquartered at 314 Church Street in Iowa City, Iowa, 52244. As of spring 2011, Delta Chi has initiated over 107,000 members. History of Delta Chi. Founding. According to Frederick Moore Whitney, there were two or three groups working on the idea of a new law fraternity during the spring of 1889. After the class election, there were meetings held in Myron McKee Crandall's apartment as well as in Monroe Marsh Sweetland's law office. It is not clear how these two groups came together, though there seem to have been some individuals who had attended both groups. Over the summer of 1890, many of the details of the organization were worked out by Myron McKee Crandall, who had stayed in Ithaca until after school opened. In regard to the adoption of the Constitution, Albert Sullard Barnes wrote the following in his 1907 quarterly article: "As I recall it, after refreshing my recollection from the original minutes now in my possession, on the evening of October 13, 1890, 6 students in the law school, brothers John M. Gorham, Thomas J. Sullivan, F. K. Stevens, A. D. Stillman and the writer, together with Myron Crandall and O. L. Potter, graduate students, and Monroe Sweetland, a former student in the law school, met in a brother's room and adopted the Constitution and bylaws, and organized the Delta Chi fraternity. The minutes from that meeting state, charter granted to Cornell chapter, indicating from the beginning the intent to start a national fraternity. The emblem of the fraternity is a secret symbol for the fraternity. Only initiated members can learn about the different aspects that make up the current emblem. Delta Chi goes single membership. In 1909 in Ithaca, New York, the 15th Convention of Delta Chi adopted an amendment to the Constitution prohibiting dual membership. As a professional law fraternity, Delta Chi had originally allowed members from other general fraternities to join. The change in policy led to the loss of chapters in New York Law, West Virginia, Northwestern and Washington University in St. Louis. Delta Chi becomes a general fraternity. During World War I, a majority of the members of the active chapters dropping the college courses and enlisting in the armed forces. Chapter houses became almost deserted, and a convention in August 1917 was skipped. At the end of the war, members returned to the universities to complete their courses. The chapter finances were generally in bad condition, as were the houses. Attempting to rebuild, many chapters stretched the recruiting restrictions by initiating men who had no intention of studying law. Starting in 1919 in Minneapolis at the 20th Convention, the issue of becoming a general fraternity was debated. In 1921 in Columbus, Ohio at the 21st Convention, 2 amendments were proposed for and against general membership respectively. For 3 days votes were held, until the Wadsworth Amendment was adopted. Ratified in 1922, the amendment made Delta Chi a general fraternity, no longer requiring its members to be law students at the respective universities and colleges. Organizational goals. Delta Chi's stated mission is to promote friendship, develop character, advance justice, and assist in the acquisition of a sound education. Founding Fathers. Albert Sullard Barnes. Myron McKee Crandall, John Milton Gorham, Peter Schermerhorn Johnson, Edward Richard O'Malley, Owen Lincoln Potter, Alphonse Derwin Stillman, Thomas Allen Joseph Sullivan, Monroe Marsh Sweetland, Thomas David Watkins, Frederick Moore Whitney. Philanthropy. In 2006, the fraternity named the V Foundation as its official philanthropic organization. As of July 2016, Delta Chi has raised $950,000 for the foundation and has donated 4 grants. Organization of the fraternity. Undergraduate officer positions. Delta Chi chapters and colonies have 6 permanent officer positions. While each position has strict definitions of responsibility, their duties may vary slightly from group to group. The A is the president of the chapter a colony. He serves as presiding officer at chapter meetings and chapter events. The B is the vice president of the chapter a colony. He schedules and chairs executive committee meetings, and oversees all committees. The C is the secretary of the chapter a colony. He keeps record of chapter a colony meetings, and is responsible for completing necessary paperwork and online forms. The D is the treasurer of the chapter a colony. He is responsible for tracking chapter financial records and files, as well as collecting dues and creating a budget. E is the alumni secretary. He is responsible for contacting and communicating with alumni. He also works on chapter a colony newsletters and other publications. The F is the sergeant-at-arms. The F works on developing and implementing safety precautions for chapter a colony events. Committee positions. Each chapter and colony is encouraged to have a functioning committee system. Each committee chairman has duties designated by Delta Chi. Committees include subjects such as recruitment, educating new recruits, philanthropy, scholarship, social events, housing, and others. Support alumni positions. The role of the EB is to mentor, advise and service as a liaison between student members and alumni. This position is required by Delta Chi law to be a 2-year term and served by Delta Chi alumnus. Alumni Board of Trustees. The purpose of the Alumni Board of Trustees is to lead, supervise and advise the chapter. Housing Corporation. The role of the Housing Corporation is to manage the chapter a colony housing facilities and all legal responsibilities of such management. Since a housing corporation is a separate, incorporated legal entity, it has no requirements set forth by Delta Chi law. Chapters, colonies, and alumni chapters. For a listing of all Delta Chi chapters, colonies, and alumni chapters, see List of Delta Chi chapters. Delta Chi chapters are unique in naming. Most college fraternities and sororities are named in an alphabetical Greek system. This is not so with Delta Chi chapters and colonies, who are named by institution and sometimes by self-naming. Therefore, the first Alpha chapter was the Cornell chapter. Notable Delta Chis.